The town of Otuga was small and known for its peaceful people and calm nights. But above all, it was known for one thing: Lifespring Hospital, a big private hospital owned by a famous man, Dr. Julius. The hospital stood tall in the middle of the town, with clean white walls and a golden nameplate shining at the entrance. Everyone loved Dr. Julius. They called him the Angel in White. He had built the hospital just after finishing medical school. People said he used his own money, and ever since then, he had saved many lives. His antenatal fee was so cheap, even poorer families could afford it. That was why almost every pregnant woman in Otuga registered at his hospital. Dr. Julius always came to the hospital before sunrise and left only after sunset. He had many doctors and nurses working for him, but when it came to childbirth, he never allowed anyone else to handle it. He personally delivered every single baby born in the hospital. The women loved him for it. He would even give them gifts after delivery: baby wrappers, baby powder, sometimes even money. People respected him, others envied him. His hospital had won many awards. Big men from the city came just to shake his hand, but nobody asked why he always took every delivery by himself. Nobody thought anything of it. They just said, "Dr. Julius is kind, that's why he does it." And every time someone in town gave birth, even if it is not his hospital, he would show up with gifts and smiles. The mothers would ask him to carry their babies, and he would do it gladly, rocking the child and laughing as if the baby was his own. Far away in another part of the country, a man of God named Prophet Solomon was preparing for a new journey. God had told him to go to Otuga town to continue his ministration, and that there is a mystery to be solved there. He obeyed with his wife Amaka and their little son. They packed their few things and moved to Otuga. When they arrived, they rented a small house near the edge of the village and started their ministry. At first, only a few people came, but slowly word spread that the prophet was a real man of God. The people who visited the small church began to feel peace in their hearts. Some said they had dreams they had never understood before. Others said they started sleeping well after years of torment. But something strange bothered Prophet Solomon. The people in Otuga were too poor. Even those who worked hard had nothing to show. Young men who left the village returned with empty hands. Old women cried in the corners of their huts about their daughters who were mad or missing. And yet, Otuga looked peaceful from the outside. Prophet Solomon began to pray for answers. "Father, show me the source of this darkness," he cried in his prayers. Amaka too joined in, crying and fasting. She had noticed it too. Something in the village was not right. They could feel it in the air. Then one day, Amaka missed her period. She was pregnant. The whole family danced and gave thanks to God. Though they already had a child, this new one was a gift in a new land. Word spread quickly, and the women of Otuga came to celebrate with her. "Congratulations," Mama Chinyere said, hugging her. "You must register at Lifespring Hospital. Dr. Julius is the best in this town." "Yes, so," added Mama Nkechi. "He took all my deliveries. Very kind man. He even gave me baby clothes." Amaka smiled politely. That night, she told her husband, "Everyone says I should register with Dr. Julius. They say he's kind," she said. "What do you think?" Solomon placed his hand on her belly and prayed. "That's fine. Since everyone is recommending him, that means he's good." Amaka agreed. "Okay then, let me register there, but we will keep praying, sha." She started attending antenatal at Lifespring. The hospital looked peaceful, always clean. Dr. Julius was polite, smiling warmly as he asked questions. "How many months now, madam?" he asked her one day. 4 months, sir, Amaka answered softly. Good, good. You and the baby are healthy. But every time she visited, she noticed something odd. The moment a woman gave birth, the air in the hospital would change. She would feel cold or see shadows that disappeared quickly. She told Prophet Solomon, I feel something dark in that hospital, she whispered. He looked confused. Really? What could it be? Whatever it is, we will keep soaking this child in the blood of Jesus. Fire of God will protect him. So every night they prayed. Solomon would pour oil on her belly and declare, this child is covered in the blood of Jesus. The day of delivery came quickly. Amaka's water broke. Solomon rushed to get her things. He prayed loudly as they entered their small car and drove to Life Spring Hospital. At the hospital gate, the security man opened quickly. Madam don't reach time? He asked. Yes, Solomon replied, holding Amaka gently. Pray with us. Inside the hospital, the nurses rushed to assist. Take her to the delivery room, Nurse Titi shouted as she rushed to call Dr. Julius. Dr. Julius came in, dressed in white, as usual. His smile was calm, but something in his eyes looked different. He touched Amaka's belly. Don't worry, you are in good hands. Solomon sat outside the ward, holding his Bible tightly. He prayed with all his heart. God, don't let the enemy win today. The delivery started. Amaka screamed in pain but held her strength. Nurse Titi and another midwife helped her breathe. Push, madam, push, they shouted. Madam, you are not pushing, no, push now. Dr. Julius stood between her legs. He looked too focused. His hands moved quickly. After minutes of struggle, the baby came out, crying loud and strong. A boy, Nurse Titi smiled. But Dr. Julius did not smile. He stared at the child as if something was wrong. His hands began to shake. He tried to hold the baby but stepped back slowly, blinking hard like he saw something no one else could see. Nurse Titi noticed. Sir, are you okay? He nodded slowly. Give me the baby, I'll clean him. Dr. Julius carried the baby to a small table in the corner of the room. He brought out a white towel and gently wiped the baby's body. Then, with quiet steps, he picked the small silver scissors and moved to cut a strand of the baby's hair. His left hand shook slightly, but he covered it well. As soon as the scissors touched the baby's head, a strong shock went through his body. He dropped the scissors and gasped. His eyes turned red and watery. He looked at his hand and saw tiny burns forming on his skin. No, this has never happened before, he whispered. He looked around. The nurses were busy cleaning Amaka. He quickly bent and picked the scissors again, biting his lower lip. It must be a mistake. Let me try again, he muttered. He touched the baby's hair again. This time, the shock was worse. Its entire body trembled like a tree under heavy wind. He fell back and hit his head on the wall. The nurses turned around. Doctor, I'm fine, he said quickly. Where is the placenta? Have you brought it? Nurse Titi nodded. Yes, it's on the side tray. He rushed to the tray and picked a blade. With shaking hands, he tried to cut a piece of the placenta. Instantly, a hot fire ran through his hand. He screamed loud and dropped the blade. Ha! His body started shaking. The baby's cries became louder and louder, echoing across the room like a trumpet in battle. Dr. Julius could not hide it anymore. I can't do this, he shouted. The nurses stepped back in fear. Doctor, what is wrong? They asked, their voices trembling. I will confess, he cried, eyes wide, face drenched in sweat. I have to confess. He ran out of the room, pushing the door wide open. Amaka lay on the bed, breathing heavily, while Solomon rushed in to check on her. What's happening? He asked. Is my wife okay? Is the baby safe? He asked. They are both fine, Nurse Ngozi said, her eyes wide. But Dr. Julius, what happened? Solomon asked. He ran out shouting something about confessing. It looked like he saw a ghost. Professor Solomon frowned. Something was not right. He held his baby close, then gave him to Amaka to feed and stepped outside the ward. A crowd was already gathering in the hospital reception. Dr. Julius was on the ground, weeping like a lost child. His white coat was stained with sweat and dust. "I'm sorry," he shouted. "I'm sorry, please forgive me." The nurses, the doctors, the patients, everyone looked at him in confusion. "What is he saying?" someone asked. Solomon stepped into the room. He stood silently and watched. Dr. Julius pointed at him. "This man's child, the child is fire. He has exposed me. Please tell the fire to cool down. It's burning me." The people gasped. A young nurse, confused, asked, "Doctor, what are you talking about?" By then, news already spread across the town about Dr. Julius' confession, and everyone, including all the women, both young and old, that has given birth at the hospital before, they were all rushing to the hospital to see what was happening. Dr. Julius stood up slowly. "I have a secret. When I finished medical school, I didn't want to struggle. I wanted to have the biggest hospital as soon as possible, and I knew the best way is to cut corners. For 30 years, I have been stealing the stars of babies." The crowd went quiet. "Every baby I delivered, I take something, hair or part of the placenta, and take it to a coven to hand it over to the giant cobra. And for babies that wasn't delivered in my hospital, I touched their head with this ring," he said, raising his left hand. "With this ring, I collect their stars. I send it to the coven. They take their destinies. That's why your children are suffering. That's why they go mad. That's why they never make it." Mothers in the room started crying. "No wonder my daughter sleeps under the bridge," one woman screamed. "My son has no peace in life. Hey, whoa," another cried. "They trusted you, doctor," a nurse shouted. "You gave them gifts and stole from them." Imagine. Dr. Julius fell to his knees again. "I gave them gifts to make them blind. I pretended to care, but I was feeding the coven." People started shouting. Some rushed forward and began to beat him. "You ruined our lives. You are wicked." Dr. Julius did not fight back. Blood ran from his mouth as he whispered, "This child is fire. This fire ascended me." Solomon stood in the middle of the chaos. He looked to the heavens and whispered, "Glory be to God." The police arrived quickly after the hospital security made a call. By then, the crowd had already beaten Dr. Julius so badly he could barely walk. 2 officers pulled the angry villagers away. "Enough!" one of them shouted. "You want to kill him before the truth comes out." They lifted Dr. Julius into the van. His lips were cracked. One eye was swollen shut. Blood soaked his collar. As they drove away, he kept whispering, "Forgive me, forgive me." Back in the hospital, silence returned slowly. Many of the nurses stood in shock. Some were crying. Others looked afraid. Nurse Titi walked up to Prophet Solomon. "Is it true, everything he said?" Solomon nodded gently. "Yes, it is true. But what he did was not by ordinary power. He was working with darkness." Mothers who had children delivered by Dr. Julius began crying louder. One woman fainted. Another fell to her knees. "God, my children, what do we do now?" she screamed. "We have to pray," Solomon said calmly. "But not just prayer. We must destroy the root of this evil." And from that moment, things began to shift in Otuga. That day, Prophet Solomon called a 3-day special night vigil service in a small church. Word spread quickly. People from every corner of the village came, even those who had not been to church in years. The air was heavy with pain, confusion, and hunger for answers. Inside the church, people sat on benches and mats. Mothers carried pictures of their children, some missing, some mad, some hopeless. Young women ate their wombs. Fathers came with bowed heads. Solomon climbed the pulpit slowly, holding his Bible. He stood in silence for a while, watching the crowd. Then he spoke. "The devil has been dancing in this land for 30 years, he began. He used the face of kindness. He wore the mask of a helper, but he was a thief in white coats." People murmured and nodded. Some wept quietly. "But now his time is over," Solomon continued. "The Lord has revealed his secrets, and today every curse he placed will be broken." The crowd shouted, "Amen." Solomon led them in deep prayer. His voice shook the wooden walls. They prayed against the coven. They prayed for their children's destiny to be restored. They cried. They rolled on the ground. They screamed the names of their sons and daughters. Suddenly, a woman in the corner began to shake violently. Her eyes rolled back. Her voice changed. "He was our servant," the voice inside her said. "He gave us the stars." People screamed. The ushers ran to hold her. Solomon walked toward her boldly. "Leave her now," he shouted. The woman screamed and fell still. The next morning, the town of Otuga was quiet, but it was not the quiet of peace. It was the quiet of awakening. People walked slowly. They looked at each other with suspicion and sorrow. The truth was still sinking deep into their bones. Elders gathered at the town square under the big Iroko tree. One elder named Papa Ikena cleared his throat. "We must speak about this matter. This thing is bigger than we thought." Another elder nodded. "Julius was like a son to us. He helped us, or so we thought." They discussed everything: the hospital, the babies, the ring, the confessions. They talked about how many of their children were suffering in other towns. It all made sense now. A woman named Mama Ogechi came forward. "I used to wonder why my daughter, who was so brilliant, dropped out and started walking the streets. She was born in that hospital. Dr. Julius took her delivery." One by one, others shared similar stories. Pain filled the air like dust. "We need cleansing," Papa Ikena said. "We must remove every trace of evil. I hope this 3-day special vigil cleans this land, though." The hospital was locked that day. Police officers stood at the entrance, guarding the place. But the people of Otuga did not care about locks and gates anymore. They knew the true battle was not with handcuffs, it was spiritual. At the second night of the night vigil, the villagers prayed with fire. Some screamed, some cried, some sat quietly with tears running down their cheeks. Solomon led them into deep worship. A strong wind blew and shook Dr. Julius' coven. It was a dark room filled with strange symbols on the floor. On one side was a wooden table with hair, cords, and little name tags, hundreds of them. In the center of the room was a very giant cobra. Back at the church, Prophet Solomon asked everyone to keep shouting fire, and the villagers began shouting fire, fire, fire. Immediately, an old woman with a walking stick from the back of the congregation shouted, "I am the leader of the coven. I am the giant cobra." She started shouting. "I was given the stars. Some we use personally and sell most of them to people who need stars." The old woman said, "I gave Dr. Julius the power to collect baby stars." Fire filled the room. The old woman screamed and disappeared in smoke. A loud wind rushed through the coven. The giant cobra disappeared, and the stars, small glowing lights, began to rise into the air like fireflies. They started returning to their owners. That same night, all across the town and beyond, something strange happened. A mad woman under the bridge in the city of Lagos stood up and said, "Where am I?" Her name was Chidima, Mama Ogechi's daughter. A drunk young man in Abuja dropped his bottle, looked at his reflection in the mirror, and cried. He remembered his name, Obina. He ran to the bus park. In Port Harcourt, a girl who had been selling her body for money fell on her knees and began to pray, "I want my life back." They were coming home. The town of Otuga rejoiced like never before. The roads were filled with dancing and celebration. Mothers who had cried for years now smiled through their tears. Children who had been lost returned changed. Some came back to kneel before their parents. "I'm sorry," they would say. "I don't know what came over me." On the naming ceremony day, Prophet Solomon stood on the church altar with his baby in his arms. "This child is a sign," he said. "The Lord has used him to break 30 years of darkness." The townspeople renamed the hospital. They removed the name Life Spring and called it Light Haven. It was no longer owned by any man. It became a free healing center run by the community and the church. Dr. Julius remained in prison. He spoke no more. He sat quietly in his cell, staring at the wall. One day, a young man came to visit him. It was one of the boys whose star he had stolen. "You ruined my life," the boy said, "but I forgive you." Julius looked at him with tears in his eyes. "I see their faces every night," he whispered. "I don't sleep." The boy laid hands on him and prayed, and for the first time, Dr. Julius wept, not out of guilt, but from a broken heart seeking mercy. Otuga was no longer the same. The markets grew, businesses opened, young people started leaving the village, not to get lost, but to fulfill purpose. Some became doctors, some became lawyers, some became teachers, and they never forgot what had happened. They would gather every year at the church for the day of restoration. They would sing, dance, and light candles for the children whose stars had once been stolen. Prophet Solomon stayed in Otuga. He raised more ministers. His church grew into a center of light for the whole region. Wow, what a journey! If this story touched you, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on the bell icon so you never miss the next story. And please share this with your friends and families. Thank you so much for watching. Remain blessed.